I had a serious problem on my hands. I could not get in the front door. No matter how many times I tried, I couldn't get that front door to open. You know, we've got one of those numeric keypads. You punch in 4 digits and voila, the door is supposed to open. But here's the thing, Jill, no problem opening the door. The boys walked right in, me locked out like it was my first day on earth. Eventually, I cracked the code, literally. I'll tell you what finally worked in just a minute. And weirdly enough, it turned out to be a perfect metaphor for happiness in retirement. Because for all the talk about golden years and living the dream, retirement also comes with some surprising truths, the kind that sneak up on you when you least expect it. And understanding them, that can unlock more joy, more peace, and more for you in the next chapter. So in today's video, I'm sharing 13 retirement truisms, real insights from real people I've worked with over the years. We'll talk about money, meaning, mistakes, and what actually makes the time in life worth it. So grab your coffee or a glass of wine, because it's got to be 5 o'clock somewhere, and let's dive in. Right after I introduce myself. Welcome to the Retirement Guy channel. I'm Darryl Rosen. In my role as retirement strategist, I help people like you plan for and hopefully enjoy retirement. Hopefully. So I finally got that front door open. Here's how I did it. The code I was keying in had 2 of the same numbers in a row. Think something like 2287. Again, not the real code. I couldn't get the thing to work. And it turns out I was hitting that repeating number too quickly. The keypad wasn't registering the second tap. 2 was just coming through as 2. So I tried something new. I keyed the first number and then I paused. I took a deep breath, not my strong suit. Then I keyed it again. Boom. The door unlocked. And because my life is not super exciting, it ended up being a huge win for me. And it felt like an apt metaphor for life, for retirement, which is probably better when you slow down a little bit. That's the best advice I've gotten from the most retirees I know. Slow down, take a breath, wait a few beats, and let life register. And I know it may sound like a contradiction because in retirement, we're taught that happiness comes from doing, joining a group, volunteering, taking chances, trying new things you haven't tried before. But none of that really sticks unless you first learn how to take a breath. The second truism is shifting gears from spending to savings isn't for the faint of heart. Making that shift from saving to spending, it's harder than people think because you spent decades squirreling money away and being careful, being disciplined. And then one day the script flips. Suddenly you're supposed to use what you've saved, even if it's all part of the plan. It can feel off, like your brain is stuck in accumulate mode while your life is nudging you towards enjoy your money. This is the part of retirement I help people with the most. Just this year, Lucy gave herself permission to build the backyard pool she'd been dreaming about for years. I have the perfect tankini for her first pool party. And Tom, he bought a medical device that helped with his foot pain, something he desperately needed because the pain was so intense he kept putting it off. Both of them had the means for these purchases, one big, one small. What they needed was reassurance, because saving is about building security. Spending in retirement is about using that security to make your life better. It's not reckless, it's thoughtful. It's the reward for all those years of doing things right. And when it's part of a solid plan, it shouldn't be scary. It should be freeing. Here's our third truism. Your calendar will fill up, but not always with ways you expect. I mean, you think you're going to have all the time for golf or travel, and you probably will, but suddenly you're volunteering for the neighborhood watch, or you're taking a pottery class like my client Sue, and helping your grandkids with their science fair project. Not me, I don't do science, just as every science teacher I ever had in school. I barely passed rocks for jocks in college, but I digress. My retired clients have told me that their schedules get busy. They can get really busy, but often in delightful, unexpected ways, things they didn't plan for when they were working, and that the key to happiness for them is being open, being accepting these possibilities. That's what I hear from the most people. Being open is the best advice on this topic. My retired clients have told me that their schedules get busy, but often in delightful, unexpected ways that they really never planned for while they were working, and that the key to happiness for them is just to be open to these opportunities. In fact, my best friend's mom, when her husband died, she gave me this advice. She said she never says no to anything. She shared that her medicine for loneliness was always saying yes when friends and family suggested different activities. I may have trouble with that one. Here's our fourth surprising truism about retirement is that social circles may shift, and that's okay. When I was in Florida this last January, every day I went to the same Starbucks. At the corner table, without fail, there was a group of 4 older men chatting away around 6 a.m. pretty early. I couldn't say for sure because I didn't know these men, but hear me out on this. They may have met right there at that very Starbucks. Maybe it started with a casual hello and nod of recognition as they noticed the same familiar faces every morning. Over time, those small interactions likely grew into something a bit more, a shared table, a shared routine. I didn't know their story, but what I did know was that they had likely created something special, a daily ritual that connected them. When you're working, a lot of your social life revolves around colleagues. In fact, losing that social connection, people tell me that's one of the greatest fears before leaving the workforce. And in retirement, those connections naturally change. You'll deepen some friendships, most likely you discover new ones through hobbies or community group, and that's perfectly normal. It's an opportunity to build a social life that truly reflects who you are at that point in your life. Number 5, every day can feel like the weekend and not necessarily in a good way. That's how one client described retirement. At first, it felt like freedom, then came the drift. When you're working, life has rhythm, meetings, alarms, deadlines. Even if you hated them, they gave your days shape. Without that, that blur creeps in, the structure fades. Here's a securement tip from someone I recently met. You don't need a fancy color-coded calendar to plan your life, but you do need anchors. The morning walk, the volunteering, Wednesday breakfast with a friend. Your brain needs movement and purpose to stay sharp. In fact, the Harvard Business Review even found that retirees with no structure report higher anxiety and lower life satisfaction, 2 emotions that aren't particularly helpful. Number 6 is gonna be quiet. You spend decades being needed by clients, coworkers, even the copier repair guy. Then you retire and the phone stops ringing. That silence, it's not just peaceful. For a lot of people, it's very unsettling. You're no longer the go-to. You're just home. My client Tom intimated that this facet of retirement was not about ego, but about purpose. He retired early and said, I thought I'd be happy, but I miss being important. The brutal truth is you don't stop being needed after you retire, but you do need to redefine where and how you're going to be needed. In preparing for this video, I asked Tom, how did you redefine yourself in this area? He began mentoring, he told me. He jumped right in, but suggested the key is to start small, to do really anything. I said, anything? He said, yes, anything. So there you have it. Number 7 is financial. The wrong withdrawal strategy can cost more than a terrible market. A lot of people tend to blame the stock market for everything, a dip here, a crash there, and suddenly it feels like your entire retirement is at risk. But here's the truth I've seen over and over again through my analysis. It's not usually the market that does the most damage. It's the withdrawal plan or the lack of one. If you're pulling money out in the wrong order or at the wrong time because of panic or from the wrong account, you can end up paying unnecessary taxes, triggering higher Medicare premiums, or locking in losses during a downturn. And once that damage is done, it's done. Before he came to see me, my client Dave thought he was playing it safe by pulling only from his IRA. He was disciplined, but he didn't realize it was pushing more of his Social Security into the taxable zone and creeping him into a higher tax bracket. When we reran his strategy using a mix of taxable and Roth withdrawals, his total tax bill dropped immensely over a 10-year window. Same lifestyle, way better outcome. The market matters, yes, but your strategy, that's what makes or breaks the long game. By the way, probably the greatest attribute of our flat fee securement review is a comprehensive withdrawal plan. There's no selling, there's no pressure to move your assets or buy anything. It's just advice. For more info on the second opinion securement review, please go to theretirementguide.com. Commercial over. Number 8, downsizing isn't just about less stuff. It can be about new opportunities. So here's a question for you. Can downsizing do for you what the Canasta crew has done for my wife, Jill. Every week, the Canasta crew gets together to play cards, sip some wine, and share some neighborhood gossip, if we're being honest. What's amazing is Jill didn't know any of these girls 4 years ago until we downsized. They all met here in this neighborhood of townhomes, a mix of like-minded women roughly the same age, but with enough differences to keep things interesting. There are couples who have been married several hundred years, like Jill and I, and divorcees dipping back into the dating pool. Occasionally, the boys are invited. But those progressive dinners, where you move from one house to another for the courses, that's a long night for Darryl. Someone even suggested teaching us how to play their card game. That didn't happen. Downsizing isn't just about less space. It's about community and hopefully the power of new connections. Will this happen to you if you downsize? I don't know, because my crystal ball is broken, plus it never worked anyway. It might, but a lot of people consider downsizing their home about getting rid of clutter, saving on upkeep, and shedding the burden of a large house. But it also can be a liberation, not a loss, and can lead to new opportunities like it did for us. You might find number 9 controversial. It doesn't matter if you pay off your house. I know it sounds counterintuitive because for years we're told to pay off our mortgage before retirement, but here's the truism. Financially, it's not always a necessary move in retirement. For some, maintaining a low interest mortgage allows them to keep more money invested in the markets, potentially earning higher returns. Potentially. For others, the peace of mind of no mortgage payment is priceless. The right answer depends entirely on your financial situation and your peace of mind, not some universal rule. And here's the key in my book. We are not spreadsheets. We are not algorithms. We are people. And some people just don't want a mortgage, even if that mortgage has a really attractive rate. That's okay. Financially speaking, retirement is one giant math problem. And there could be a mathematically ideal answer that will help you decide what to do and what not to do. But at the end of the day, you are not a robot, I think. And you have to feel good. That's what's most important. Number 10, the perfect retirement spot might be right where you are. Do you dream of moving to a sunny beach town or a mountain retreat? That's great for some, but many people find that staying in their current community close to their friends, their family, the businesses they're used to patronizing, and these familiar resources is actually the most fulfilling and practical choice. When I think about this, I'm reminded about what's happening in Florida right now in the condo market. Sure, the weather is great, certainly beats Chicago in the winter, but it feels like every day I read a story about somebody who desperately wants to get rid of their overpriced condo because of the exorbitant insurance fees because of all the hurricanes and natural disasters. The subject reminds me of a great quote from the book, The Psychology of Money, which is probably one of the best books ever written, aside from this book, The Securement Method, which is critically acclaimed by my family and available on Amazon. Sometimes good enough is good enough, and it's okay to stay right where you are. Number 11, you don't just retire from something, you retire to something. Most of us spend years planning for what we're leaving behind, the job, the deadlines, the stress, the people we don't like. But here's the truism. Retirement happiness comes from planning what you're moving towards. As the author Richard Leiter emphasizes in his book, The Power of Purpose, purpose is not something you find, it's something you cultivate over time. And one of my clients summed this up perfectly to me. I thought I'd feel relieved, but once the dust settled, I didn't know what to do with myself. It's a common feeling, but it's avoidable. The happiest retirees I know don't just have financial security. They have a clear sense of purpose. So ask yourself, what's next for you? What passions will you pursue? What new skills will you learn? This isn't just a nice to have. It's essential planning for a truly fulfilling retirement. Remember, it's not just what you're retiring from, it's what you're retiring to. Number 12, you should stop saving money if and when your retirement income, things like Social Security, pensions, annuities, or rental income already pays for your core lifestyle. If that's the case, you've hit a major milestone. It means you're no longer dependent on your investments to meet your daily needs. That's a big deal. And if you're unsure, ask the people with the big pensions. They're always posting on Facebook. The rest of us, or the ones without pensions, we spend decades saving so that one day our money can buy our freedom. But if your expenses are already covered, you've probably arrived. The challenge is that many retirees don't recognize this moment when it comes, they keep saving and saving and saving, or delaying retirement out of habit or fear, not necessity. Once that income exceeds expenses consistently, the game changes. Now it's less about accumulation and more about optimization, preserving what you have, enjoying what you have, and eventually transferring wealth to your children if they're nice to you. The hidden variable is that you might be overestimating what comfortable actually costs, what that actually means. Studies like the Retirement Spending Smile show that spending naturally declines with age, even among affluent retirees. So if you're basing your needs on pre-retirement expenses, you might be missing the mark. So what do? Well, you can start by giving yourself permission to enjoy your money. This might be the hardest part, as we talked about earlier in the video, because after decades of saving, spending can feel unsafe. But remember, your money is a tool. It's there to support the life you want, the life you've worked hard for. That might mean traveling, hobbies, helping your kids, whatever the case may be. Or it can mean simply reducing stress. So here's a simple test. If your essential expenses are consistently covered or by guaranteed income sources, and you haven't needed to touch your investment portfolio for months or years, or you don't hit it that much, you may have saved enough and you could start spending. The challenge isn't saving more, it's allowing yourself to trust the plan and live your life. And last but not least, you will learn more about yourself in retirement than in your career. Without the structure and identity of work, you have the space to explore what you truly want and who you truly are, what generally excites you, and what your deepest values are. It can be a profound period of self-discovery. This concept really wasn't on my radar until I talked to my client, Ralph, as he commemorated his second full year of retirement. He told me retirement has been an eye-opening experience, really a crazy journey. Before, my days were defined by deadlines and meetings. Now, with that structure gone, I've had the chance to really think about what matters to me. It's like a whole new chapter of getting to know myself. Things I never had time for or even thought about during my career have become much clearer to me. It's definitely been a profound period of self-discovery. So there you have it, 13 surprising truisms about retirement. I hope this gives you a little food for thought and perhaps helps you prepare for some of these delightful and sometimes unexpected realities. Did any of these resonate with you? Any of them? Are there any truisms you've discovered in retirement that I missed? Probably. Let me know in the comments below. I love hearing from you. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up or subscribe to the Retirement Guy channel. My kids will be super impressed. And hit that notification bell so you don't miss out. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, you might like this one, and I'll see you next time.